I'm going straight into the tutorial today. So today I'm using the Fenty Silk Primer and the House Labs 210 foundation. This is my favorite foundation of 2025. I have tried a lot and it only came to Australia in 2025. So this has been my absolute favorite since I've gotten to try it. I have quite oily skin and I find that this foundation has a really good wear time and it doesn't separate at all on my skin. I do a lot of skin prep, not too much skin prep, but I do moisturize, I put serum on, I put sunscreen on, and I do let it sit before I actually do my makeup application. Like I did my skincare and then I did my hair and then I started my makeup, so that was probably a good 30 minutes. And yes, I stick my fingers in my nose to really get into the nose creases. And here I'm just building up the layers of my foundation with a brush just because I need a little bit more coverage in these areas that I'm applying to. And a beauty sponge just tends to take away what I don't want it to take away in these areas. So I just go through with my brush. And if you want to know what brushes I'm using, I will mention in other videos, but I just don't think it was worth mentioning in these ones because I don't find myself going out and buying brushes that other people are using. I just use what I have. I use a lot of Morphe brushes and I've just bought a few She Glam brushes, and I use Makeup by Mario and KVD brushes if they still make them. Now I'm using the Huda Beauty color corrector in Peach Light, and I'm gonna not cut too much of this clip because I just want to show you how little I'm using and how you don't need that much. I do watch videos of people putting a ton of this on, but you really don't need much. Like look at me, I'm blending this in real time just with my finger because it warms up the product really nicely. And this is her new packaging. I had to buy the new packaging because I could not stand the other one. It just would leak everywhere. Here's the result. You can see I didn't use a lot and you can see the major difference. It just corrected. It's not supposed to be your concealer. It's just supposed to make sure that you don't have to put so much concealer on after this step because you're already doing the work of correcting the discoloration. And look how look how good that did. Now I'm going in with my Tarte Shape Tape Concealer. This is the shade 27S. I've always used this for so many years and I just keep going back to it. I am using a little bit more probably than I should because I've already color corrected, but this is honestly the third time I've used this Huda color corrector, so I do keep forgetting that I don't have to use this much. I do like the finish of this because I feel like it adds a nice matte to my foundation look because the House Labs is so dewy. It just kind of sets itself in the middle of my face with a nice matte finish, and then at the very end it almost has a satin finish, like the matte and the serum are kind of mixing together from the House Labs. I don't know if that's what's actually happening, but that's just kind of how I've always felt about when I do this combination. And I do go in so heavy-handed with my beauty blender. I just really like to make sure everything is one even layer. Now I'm using my Makeup by Mario Skin Enhancer. I would not be mad if he sent me another one because I'm gripping on to the very edges of it. So I use this one just to contour my face. I know it's not that contour color exactly, but this is just what I use. And I'm contouring my temples. I was watching Samantha Harvey's video earlier and I really took heavy inspiration from her, so shout out to her. I'm using the Rare Beauty blush today in shade Virtue, and I think the second dot was not necessary, but it's an amazing blush. And I'm using her, I believe that's the actual, I'm not sure if that's the foundation brush or the blush brush, but either way, I'm obsessed with this brush. I go in with this and then I go in with my beauty blender to kind of fade out the edges so it's not so intense, and then later I'll go on top with a nice powder. Okay, this is my Fenty You Mist setting spray, and unfortunately, after a little while, I sprayed it on my face from the original packaging and it shot straight at me like in a single line. It wasn't a mist, and I tried to get a Q-tip and wipe the nozzle to see if that would help, but it didn't. But we still love her. And here I'm going in with any excess concealer and foundation that's on my beauty blender just to have an eyeshadow base. And I'm using the Makeup by Mario Master Mattes palette today, and I'll show you all the shades that I'm using. With this, there's not like a right or wrong way to do it. You kind of just blend with a light hand, and I'm a little bit closer to, like, I'm holding it closer to the bristles. I believe, I could be wrong about this, but I believe that that just gives you a little bit more control, and you can just really focus the shadow where it needs to go better. And you can see that my finger does move a little bit closer to the bristles as well when I'm doing this. Oh, well, there, it looks farther. Okay, well, oh yeah, there we go. So this, I don't do as much like windshield wiper motions. I really just focus on packing and then really, really, really barely moving it, just so it has that really high impact pigment in that one area. And then I'm going in with my beauty blender just to make sure there's no creases, so then I can go in with these two shades and just get my main neutral base. I'm never good at these voiceovers. I talk a million miles a minute and I have to keep going back and cutting. But this is just like an everyday sort of soft glam, but a little bit more elevated because I've got lashes and I've got, yeah, I've just got more than I guess a soft glam would be. It's whatever we want it to be, I guess. Okay, then I'm going in with this shade here just to brighten up the inner corner and really open up the eyes. You hear that a lot and then you're like, is it actually doing anything? But yes, you just want to make sure you're bringing it a little bit past the actual inner corner and more down towards that inner tear duct, if that makes sense. You want to bring it past your eyelid, as you can see there. And now I'm going in with a little bit of a darker shade and I'm just opening up my eyes a little bit. Then I'm going in with a brown shadow and an eyeliner brush, and I'm just kind of smudging it on the top. You can't see it too much, which is kind of what we want, but it opens up the eye just enough to where it's kind of giving the effect as if you were wearing a cat eye, if that makes sense, without having the really harsh black lines. Just very soft and smoky. And I'm not dipping back into the color, but I'm using the leftover color and just stamping that very, very, very tight line on my bottom waterline. And then I'm going to curl my lashes. I'm going to use the Makeup by Mario new mascara, which I really, really love. I hate curling my eyelashes though, because I always pinch myself. I thought I'd keep these cute little moments here. I don't know if it's cute, but like, we all do these things when we do our makeup, but we just don't show it on video. Especially, I don't know, does anyone else do the thing where they stick their nose in their, or they stick their finger in their nose when they do their foundation? And then I'm just blending out any other creases in this concealer area just before I do my Huda setting powder. I'm using the Cherry Blossom one because it really goes well, I found, with the peach light. And just look how bright it looks. My under eye bags are so dark, and I know it doesn't look like it on video. Maybe it does, I don't know. I think my under eye bags are so dark, and I think this just really does a nice job of brightening it without looking too artificial, if that makes sense. Like, I don't want my under eyes to be white. I want them to just be bright. Then I'm going in with my Benefit Precisely Brow Wax in shade 6 and Precisely Brow in shade 5. And I just never know how to do my brows, so I just brush them and then fill them, and that's pretty much it. There's no specific way that I do them. I do them a little bit different every time. I didn't even realize I had my lashes done yet. I must have just been talking, but they're lash bar lashes in the turquoise color. And then here I'm going over my cream products, and I'm using a really old Morphe, I think it's like the 8B cheek palette. I don't know if that's what it's called. But I'm just dusting over that rare blush, and then I'm just going to go in with my Mario Skin Perfector in the shade Medium. Again, just bringing all of those colors from earlier forward again, because they can get covered when we do our spray and we do our powders. And here, I haven't touched my nose at all since I've done my makeup steps, so I just have to bring a little bit of color to it, because then in pictures and stuff, the center of your face can get really lost. I'm not trying to change the shape of my nose or anything, but I'm just trying to bring more color to it, and I'm bringing that color into my eyelid, if you can see that. And it just, I don't know, I just like the way that it looks really nice, and I like the way that Samantha Harvey did it in her video, so I thought, okay, I'll do that too. And of course, just go in with your beauty blender at the end just to make sure nothing is too harsh and stands out too much. And I couldn't find the shade on this one, so I was like spinning it to see where the shade was. But this is the new Sephora collection lip liners in shade 12. And these are, I am not joking, I have every single one of these lip liner shades now, and they're just my favorite. I love them. My biggest insecurity, I think, are my lips because they're such an uneven shape to me, at least. Like, if you can see that there, it just comes down a little bit more on one side, and I don't actually have a ton of pigment in my top lip. Like, you can't see it because I'm covering it with lip liner, but a lot of my pigment is missing in the top of my lip, so I really just like to wear lip liner to cover that. And then I'm gonna put on my Gucci lipstick in the shade They Met in Argentina. This is my favorite lipstick ever. And then I'm just going back over my lips with my lip liner just so everything is nice and seamless. And then I do that so I don't get lipstick on my lips. And then this is the House Labs. I can't remember what this is called. It's just their night cream highlighter, but this is, I hear so many people say that this takes off your makeup, but it doesn't. Like, I'm going in pretty heavy-handed with this, like straight on my face, and then look at me pressing that in very much with my brush. I don't know, it works perfectly for me. I love it. I'm using the same brush that I used for my blush earlier, and I know the Rare Beauty blush will not still be wet in there because it dries so quickly. Then I'm going in with my setting spray, Charlotte Tilbury. I'm just drying my face with my palette, and then I'm going in with my She Glam freckles, and I just put one on and dot it up, and that's how I do my freckles, my spots. It's just random spots every time. Then I'm taking out my roller, which I never know how to actually do, and it never stays in. It never does, no matter what I do. I could leave it in for 4 hours and it would fall within 10 minutes. So this is just the end result of my makeup, and I'm just figuring out how I like my hair, I guess. And then I'm gonna do a really like quick zoom in. I like to show what my makeup looks like at the end and not have a cut or an edit or anything like that, just so you can see the actual result. There's no filter, there's no editing. I don't know how to do any of that stuff. I'm editing on iMovie. And yeah, this is the end result. This is just, I've done skin prep, I've used moisturizer, a serum, sunscreen, like I said, an eye cream, and then, you know, let it sit in my skin for a while. And this is the end result. I like to take care of my skin usually, and you have to try the products that work for your skin, and this is the result that you will get when you find the products that work for you. You know, what works for me might not work for you. I'm a really oily skin girl, so if any of the products that I had mentioned today, you know, if you like the way that they look on me, you should give them a go. But yeah, this is the end result. I hope you liked my video. I'm still learning how to do voiceovers and not, you know, I'm watching the video in real time and trying to keep up with my video. And I've done that before in previous videos, but yeah, that's me. Bye.